What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Tony's Corner, a Great Girth segment. I'm your host, Tony, and today we're digging, the 1988 cult slasher Scarecrows. This one's a low-budget nightmare set in a cornfield with killer scarecrows stalking a bunch of thieves. Pretty cool if you ask me. We're talking gore, atmosphere, and that 80s cheese that we love. This one is a personal favorite, dude, that comes all the way from my middle school days where I should have been asleep in bed, but rather I stayed up late with the free access to on demand, thanks stepdad, and I watched this wild film. Dude, it is a bizarre one, and I think that's why it attracted me so much. That's why I like it. Believe it or not, I had to really dig for research on this one because apparently, for the longest time, there was no real knowledge on this film. This is why you have me. So grab a beer, light that, if you will, and make sure you have some popcorn in that old Halloween bowl that you still carry around from your childhood. Don't look around. We know you have it. Mom is proud of you. Quick shout out to all you who've tuned in. Believe it or not, I do appreciate your support. It means the world to me. All right, now let's do this. Scarecrows dropped in 1988, written and produced and directed by William Wesley, his only feature film, believe it or not. The guy was a music video director before this, and dude, it shows in the stylistic shots that he creates, dude. They're very MTV, there you go. Produced on a shoestring budget of $200,000 and shot in Davie, Florida over a few weeks. They used real cornfields in an abandoned farmhouse for that authentic creepy vibe. Really straight to video by MGM UA. It didn't hit theaters, but built a cult following on VHS. Underrated for gore, practical effects by Newman Cabrera, hope I said his name right, in his early days, who later worked on big stuff like Hellboy. So who is this unknown cast? You got Ted Vernon as Corbin, the tough leader. Vernon's a real-life car dealer and boxer. He brings that rough edge. Michael David Sims as Curry, the hothead. You got Richard Vidon as Jack, the brains. Christina Sanborn as Roxanne, the tough chick. Victoria Christian as Kelly, the pilot's daughter, and sorta final girl. Then you got David Campbell as Al, the pilot, B.J. Turner as Bert, the betrayer, and Phil Zanderland as Dax. No big stars, but solid B-movie performances. You don't know who these people are, and that is okay. These actors do a swell job at working with what they have. And I'd argue it is pretty decent compared to a lot of B-rated horror flicks. It is obviously a slasher with supernatural twists. Think Friday the 13th meets some voodoo. Voodoo in a Field. Runtime is about 83 minutes, but why revisit in 2025? It's on lists of underrated these horrors with Blu-ray from Screen Factory loaded with extras. It scores around 5.4 IMDb, but fans give it higher for the creeps. All right, gonna be throwing a spoiler-free pitch your way. A crew of ex-military thieves pulls off a payroll heist at Camp Pendleton, snagging $3.5 million, hijacking a plane with a pilot and his daughter. One guy double crosses, parachutes with the cash into a spooky cornfield. The rest, they land to hunt him down, but the field's guarded by possessed scarecrows that do come alive and start picking them off with farm tools. Yes! It's tense, atmospheric, with practical gore and no boring kills. The strengths? Eerie setting, unrelenting dread, cool effects, but what are its weaknesses? The pacing drags in a few spots, dialogue's clunky as you already know, but if you've worked a night shift or hate farms, this'll hit home. If that hooks you, stream it on Tubi or do it the Tony's Corner way and just grab a copy of the Blu-ray or a DVD at the very least. Pause now if needed. Spoilers incoming. The film opens mid-heist. The paramilitary group, Corbin, Curry, Jack, Roxanne, Bert, rob the payroll. Kidnap pilot Al and his daughter Kelly, force them to fly. Bert betrays, grabs the money, jumps over a dark field. The group lands nearby, tracks him to an abandoned farmhouse with creepy scarecrows everywhere. Bert's the first victim, though. He hides in the field, gets gutted by a scarecrow with a pitchfork. Blood sprays, dude, guts spill. The group finds the house owned by the Fowlers. Per a mailbox, long dead, but with occult vibes. Voodoo dolls, satanic symbols, implying the scarecrows are possessed by the farmer spirits. Cursed to guard the land. While this is barely explored any further anyway, it is not needed. Perfect just the way it is. But then the kills ramp up. Dax gets his throat slit by a scarecrow in the truck. Roxanne's impaled, Jack's head bashed with a shovel, Curry's disemboweled in the field, Corbin fights back, torches one of them but gets overwhelmed, Kelly and Al try to escape but Al's killed, protecting her. Kelly makes it to the plane, yes. She flies off as the Scarecrows swarm. Now the twist, the Scarecrows stuff victims with straw, possess them, turning them into new Scarecrows. Bert revives as one. He attacks Kelly mid-flight, right before she crashes. She is able to get in one and stabs him, but the ending's really ambiguous. A radio hints at like a rescue, but a Scarecrow hand twitches. That is classic 80s open end if you ask me. I absolutely love it. Let's talk about these gore highlights, dude. Practical effects just shine. Pitchfork through the face, chest peelings, blood-soaked straw. No CGI, dude. All prosthetics. All special at-home effects. Scarecrow blends heist thriller with like supernatural slasher, and it's unique for 88. Think pre From Dusk Till Dawn. There's themes, of course. Greed is downfall, the land punishing intruders, all that eco-horror. The Scarecrows represent eternal guardians, obviously. Maybe they're farmers killed in a robbery, souls trapped, something like that. No backstory dump here, and I could not be happier about that. Director William Wesley's music video background gives stylized shots. Dutch angels, infilled, foglit nights. The score is synth heavy, dude. Tense. The first act's action packed, middle slows for dread, like I said, and then it explodes at the end. When it comes to the acting, I will say that Vernon's charismatic and his dialogue's quippy but dated if you're one of them sensitive types. Now, when you try to compare this to other films, it just echoes Dark Knight of the Scarecrow from 1981 for the vengeful Scarecrows, but gorier. Or like Pumpkinhead, dude, from 1988 for rural monster revenge, right? Underrated versus big slashers like Halloween 4, which came out that same year. For me, the biggest flaws really are the thin villains. That's really about it, honestly. There's not much to them. However, their menacing look and stalking methods definitely make up for it, in my opinion. What is its cultural impact? It is a cult video hit, dude. In 2025, fans on X are calling it an atmospheric gem. Creepy and underrated. Time for the trivia harvest, though, dude. Shot in Florida cornfields, like I mentioned, which means real bugs. And heat misery for the cast. Wesley was inspired by his own childhood Scarecrow fears as well. They also used real straw and animal guts for the realism. There's also an alternate ending which had Kelly becoming a Scarecrow. Cut out, of course, to keep the audiences guessing. Dude, good decision. Man, the VHS box art, too, that is so iconic. The glowing-eyed Scarecrow, also re-released on Blu-ray in 2015 with Wesley's commentary. Fans do pair it with like Husk, which is a 2011 Loose remake, I guess. I've never seen it, but I've been told to check it out. In the meantime, it is time for my official rating. Honestly, I love the unrelenting atmosphere and the innovative kills, but it drags midway for sure. It's an underrated 80s deep cut, recommended for slasher fans that are tired of franchises. Pair with like Children of the Corn for double feature, or even with Jeepers Creepers. Now you got a triple feature on your hands. Scarecrows is worth checking out on streaming. You could remake this movie. It could work with modern like effects, but the original is just raw, dude. Leave it be. Gorier than Dark Knight of the Scarecrow for sure. Atmospheric like The Fog, but it stands with indies like The Burning. Better than Husk remake from what most people say anyway. Again, I've never seen it. But thank you again for joining me on Tony's Corner, a Great Girth segment. If you like this and you want more, then be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check out the Great Girth podcast for the more political and unleashed version of yours truly. But in the meantime, always remember, folks, to stay rad.